It's hour 47. The throw phone is live. The subject has stopped answering. Behind you, a tactical team is stacked on the stronghold wall, waiting for you to say one word, hold or go. You have 25 years of training, a yellow legal pad, and a first name written at the top of the page, and no authority to decide anything. This is what it takes to become one of about 10 people who sit in that chair. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The pre-FBI baseline. You're 22. You're a rookie cop in a city where the phone never stops ringing. The median salary for a U.S. police officer is $77,000. You're nowhere near that yet. You're clearing patrol calls at 2 a.m. for $60,000 a year in New York City, or $86,000 as an LAPD recruit in a crash course on how to talk to people who don't want to be talked to. Your real job at this level is collecting reps the FBI will care about in 5 years. Week 2 on the job, you handle a barricaded ex-husband with a shotgun. Year 3, you sit with a jumper on a parking garage roof for 90 minutes and watch him climb back over the rail. You write the reports, you testify, you go home and you don't sleep. Somewhere in those 5 years, you learn the first rule nobody ever teaches you in the academy. The person threatening to die is almost never the person holding a hostage. About 96% of the time, the hostage is themselves. At 27, you apply to the FBI because it's the only way to do more of this work than one city will let you do. 48,000 people apply in the same 2-year window. 1,900 get in. You're one of them, and you haven't even started yet. Level 2. The new special agent. You report to Quantico for the basic field training course, 18 weeks, 850 hours of instruction, and a washout gate behind every module. Firearms, legal, tactics, fitness, academics, suitability. You're a new agent trainee, a NAT, and the average person in your class is 29 years old, and nearly half of them have a graduate degree. You graduate. You pin the badge. You pick up your first office, maybe Miami, maybe Omaha, and you start on a squad. Counterterrorism, violent crime, cyber, white collar, counterintelligence. You're now a GS-10 with a 25% availability pay bump and locality adjustment. So your total comp lands somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 depending on the city. You work your first real case. It's a bank robbery, or a kidnapping for ransom, or a source in a gang. You write the 302, the report of interview, and you learn that in this building, the 302 is the case. You watch a senior agent talk a cooperator into testifying. You notice he barely talks. He nods. He repeats the last 3 words the cooperator said. The cooperator keeps going. You write that down in the back of your notebook. 8 months later, the field office crisis team is short a body, and your supervisor asks if you want to volunteer for the rotation. There's no extra pay. It's on top of your regular caseload. You say yes before he finishes the sentence. Level 3. The Collateral-Duty Negotiator. You're 3-3. You're a GS-13 working organized crime, and you're also one of about 350 trained crisis negotiators in the entire FBI, one for every million Americans. Your extra pay for this job is $0. Your extra hours are whatever the phone demands. You fly to Quantico for the National Crisis Negotiation course. 2 weeks, the FBI's mandatory initial course, and seats are so tight that state and local agencies get in by lottery. They teach you the 8 active listening skills: emotional labeling, paraphrasing, mirroring, minimal encouragers, effective pauses, I messages, open-ended questions, summary. They teach you the behavioral change stairway: listen, then empathize, then build rapport, then influence, then behavior changes. And they teach you the one rule everybody forgets under pressure: listening is the cheapest concession you'll ever make. Your pager goes off at 3:14 a.m. a month later. A man named Daniel has locked himself in his bathroom with a handgun and a bottle of bourbon. You drive 40 minutes in the dark. You are secondary on the call. Another negotiator is primary. He does everything by the book. On hour 9, Daniel stops talking. You hear one shot through the line, and then nothing at all. The whole command post goes quiet for a long minute. You drive home at sunrise, You don't eat for 3 days. Most of your call-outs after that are not like Daniel's. Most of them are a teenager on a roof, a husband locked in the garage, an ex-employee at the back door of an office at midnight. You listen. Usually they come out. Sometimes they don't. A year in, you get another one. At hour 5, he tells you his daughter has asthma and her inhaler is on the kitchen counter. You don't try to talk him out. You ask him to put the inhaler by the door. He does. 40 minutes later, the kids walk out. An hour after that, he walks out. Nobody dies. You drive home at 11 a.m. You brief the case at 2 p.m. You're back on your regular squad by 4. Your supervisor never mentions Daniel or the asthma call. A senior FBI negotiator who later led at Waco once said that in his era, FBI negotiators got 2 or 3 call-outs a year. You're averaging 8. Level 4. The team leader. You're 41. You're a GS-14 crisis negotiation coordinator for your field office, and you run a team of 5 negotiators plus a mental health consultant. Your base pay in DC locality is $139,000. With availability pay and overtime, you clear about $174,000. You're still a full-time investigator on top of this. The job changes. You're not the voice on the phone anymore. You're the one the on-scene commander looks at when the deadline hits. You write the negotiation position paper, status, assessment, recommendation, and you hand it to the commander who will decide whether to keep talking or send the tactical team through the door. You train your team. You run the scenarios. You teach the primary to stop talking and wait. You go to the annual in-service. You consult on every call-out in your division. And the job gets quietly harder. You put your people in the chair you used to sit in. Some of them are better at it than you were. One of them freezes on hour 2 of her first real primary, taps her secondary on the shoulder, asks to step out for a minute, and you quietly take the chair yourself and keep the line live. She resigns from the team 6 weeks later. You sign the paperwork without a note. That night, you get another 3 a.m. siege in a county nobody has heard of. You sit with the new primary at the operations table. You coach the pauses. 41 hours in, the subject surrenders at sunrise. You sign the report and you put it away. Someone in Washington reads your name on the cover sheet. 6 months later, the phone rings. Level 5. The unit. You're 46. You've been pulled full-time to Quantico, to the Crisis Negotiation Unit inside the Critical Incident Response Group. You're now a supervisory special agent, a GS-14 or GS-15, pulling about $200,000 a year with locality and availability pay. And you are now one of about 10 people in the entire country with this exact job. Unit Chief, 5 supervisory agents, 4 support staff, 10 seats for a field community of roughly 350 to 400 negotiators. Less than 2% of trained FBI negotiators ever see this desk. Your days are airplanes, classrooms, and 2 a.m. phone consults with a primary in another time zone. You teach the National Crisis Negotiation course. You maintain the hostage barricade database, 35 years of incidents, 7,216 of them, feeding the predictive tools the unit built in-house. You write doctrine for the FBI Law Enforcement Bulletin. You liaise with the UK, Canada, Australia, Israel, Ireland, Germany, South Africa. The International Negotiators Working Group sits across your conference table twice a year. The unit's motto is carved into the door, Pax per Colloquium, resolution through dialogue. Your daughter's college graduation is on a Saturday in May. You spend that Saturday on a secure call with a field office in Manila. Your wife watches the ceremony alone and does not mention it when you land at Dulles on Sunday. Since 1990, you and the agents who came before you have been on 300+ overseas incidents. Your own personal count is 40, and the phone's ringing again. Level 6. The deployment. You're 50. You deploy as the on-scene C&U advisor for a kidnapping in a country the State Department won't let you name. The family has hired a private negotiator who keeps telling them to pay the demand. 2 cable networks are chasing the story. The hostage working group at the National Security Council wants a briefing every 12 hours. You have a proof of life from 40 hours ago and a ransom demand that keeps moving. Most of what you do is sit with the father in a hotel suite. You drink coffee you don't want. You answer the same 3 questions he has already asked today. On day 7, the demand comes in at a number that no government in the world is going to pay. You sit with the father, you tell him the truth, he nods, he does not cry. He thanks you for not lying to him for 7 days. On day 10, the hostage walks out of a farmhouse in the dark, and a State Department plane brings her home. There is no press conference. There is no award ceremony. The father learns your first name and nothing else. You fly back to Quantico on Monday, and on Tuesday, you're teaching a classroom of collateral-duty negotiators how to use the 8 active listening skills. Level 7. The chair. You're 54. You are the primary on a nationally significant incident, a stronghold, a subject, a multi-day siege, a tactical team stacked on the wall behind you. You have a headset, a yellow legal pad, the subject's first name at the top, and a column of demands, deadlines, and concessions running down the side. Here is what nobody tells you about the chair. You have no authority. Every concession is routed up to the commander on a piece of paper you wrote. "Let me check with my boss" is not a tactic. It is literally true. Your most important skill is silence. The empty seconds on the line that the negotiators before you spent their careers teaching you to leave in. The subject you save will never know your name. Your cases are sealed. Your face is not on television. The family you talked through the worst night of their life will remember the tactical team, but the subjects you lose, you will carry their first names for the rest of your career. You still think about Daniel in that bathroom sometimes, 21 years later. The lead FBI negotiator on scene at Waco was there for 51 days. 76 Branch Davidians died, including 25 children. He turned off the PA on April 19, 1993. 33 years later, he still sits in a quiet room and talks about that day. You spent a quarter century learning to talk, and the job turned out to be listening. You spent a quarter century learning to save people, and the job turned out to be carrying the ones you couldn't.